Something quietly satisfying just happened in the lifestyle and wellness space, and it's one of those moments that doesn't need noise to feel significant. A collaboration between As Ever and Clevr Blends released a limited edition bundle called the Strawberry Matcha Set, and it's sold out. Completely. Not slowly, not over time with discounts and adjustments, not after a long buildup of uncertainty, just clean, direct, and fast. It connected. And that alone is worth pausing on for a moment. Because in a world where so many product launches compete for attention through volume, noise, and constant urgency, something that succeeds through simplicity feels almost refreshing. This wasn't a complicated tech drop or a hyper-engineered marketing stunt. It wasn't trying to overwhelm people with options or confuse them into interest. It was simple, intentional, and carefully composed. At its center was a bundle built around three elements that, on their own, feel familiar, but together create a very specific experience. The Clevr Matcha Super Latte, made with ceremonial-grade Japanese matcha, smooth and creamy, designed to bring a sense of calm structure into a morning routine. A strawberry spread that leans into warmth and sweetness, something nostalgic and comforting, the kind of flavor that feels instantly recognizable even before you think about it. And flower sprinkles, subtle but visually expressive, adding a soft finishing touch that turns a simple food moment into something gently elevated. Individually, these are small things. Together, they form something more meaningful, a small ritual. And that's really where the appeal begins. Because modern lifestyle products are no longer just about consumption. They're about how something makes a moment feel. People are not only buying flavor, they're buying atmosphere, intention, and a sense of ease in the middle of busy lives. This collaboration understood that clearly. The matcha component from Clevr Blends has already built a reputation in the wellness space for being more than just a drink. It sits in that category of products that are designed to fit into routines, not interrupt them. Smooth, grounding, and easy to prepare, it carries a sense of structure that people often look for in the middle of chaotic schedules. There's something very simple and very human about that. A warm drink in the morning is not just caffeine, it's transition. It's a moment between rest and responsibility, between quiet and movement. And when a product fits into that space well, it becomes more than a beverage. It becomes part of a rhythm. Then comes the strawberry spread. On the surface, it's straightforward, fruit-based, sweet, familiar. But the way it's positioned in this bundle gives it a different kind of presence. It's not just a condiment, it becomes a moment of softness within the overall experience. Strawberry has a specific emotional language attached to it in food culture. It feels light, it feels bright, it feels connected to memory, jam on toast in the morning, dessert shared with people. Simple sweetness without complication. That emotional familiarity matters more than people often admit. Because in a market where so many products are trying to innovate aggressively, familiarity feels like comfort, and comfort is powerful. Then are the flower sprinkles. This is where the bundle shifts from functional to expressive. Not necessary in a nutritional sense, not required for the experience to exist, but meaningful in a visual and emotional sense. They add a finishing touch that transforms food into something more intentional, something you pause and look at for a moment before consuming, something that acknowledges the idea that everyday life can still contain small aesthetic details. And that's the quiet strength of this entire bundle. It doesn't demand attention, it invites it. That difference matters more than it sounds like it should, because attention today is usually taken through force, loud campaigns, constant reminders, overlapping messages across platforms. But this collaboration takes a softer approach. It builds appeal through cohesion. Everything fits together without friction. Nothing feels excessive or out of place. There is a sense of design consistency that carries through the entire concept. And when something feels visually and conceptually aligned, people respond to it in a very natural way. They don't have to be convinced. They just feel it. That's often what separates products that sit on shelves from products that move quickly. And in this case, movement happened fast. The sellout is not just a numerical outcome, it's a reflection of timing, design, and audience alignment all working together at once. Because when a product meets the right audience at the right moment, the response is immediate. Not delayed, not hesitant, immediate. That's what happened here. The strawberry matcha set didn't need a long explanation cycle or repeated reinforcement. It didn't require overcomplication or reinterpretation. It simply entered the space, offered a clear experience, and was received exactly as intended. There's a kind of elegance in that process, and it's worth appreciating because it doesn't happen by accident. There is careful coordination behind collaborations like this, not just in production, but in understanding what kind of emotional tone the product is meant to carry. As Ever brings a lifestyle identity that leans toward calmness, intentionality, and a curated sense of everyday beauty. As Ever positions itself in a space where products are not just items, but parts of a larger way of living. Clevr Blends, on the other hand, operates in the wellness beverage category, focusing on functional drinks that combine ease of use with a sense of ritual. Clevr Blends has built its identity around making wellness feel accessible and integrated rather than overwhelming or clinical. When those two identities come together, the result is naturally cohesive. There is no conflict in tone, no competing messages, no visual or conceptual tension. Instead, there is alignment, and alignment is what allows a collaboration to feel natural rather than forced. That natural feeling is important because it influences how people engage with the product before they even try it. Modern consumption is heavily influenced by perception. Before taste, before experience, before repetition, there is impression. And impression is shaped in seconds. Color, texture, naming, presentation, and context all contribute to whether something feels appealing or not. This bundle does well in that space because it communicates clearly. Soft colors, familiar flavors, gentle aesthetic cues, a sense of calm structure. Nothing overwhelming, nothing loud, just a quiet suggestion, this might fit into your life. And that kind of messaging is incredibly effective in today's environment. Because people are not just looking for products that function, they are looking for products that feel compatible with how they want their life to look and feel. Even small purchases carry that expectation now. A drink is not just a drink. A spread is not just a spread. A decorative topping is not just decoration. They become part of a larger identity expression. And when a product aligns with that identity, even loosely, it becomes more compelling. That's where this collaboration succeeds so cleanly. It doesn't try to redefine anything. It refines what already exists. It takes familiar elements and presents them in a way that feels thoughtful and cohesive. That is often more powerful than reinvention, because reinvention can sometimes feel distant, but refinement feels accessible. It feels like something you could actually integrate into your day without friction. And friction is one of the biggest barriers in modern consumer behavior. If something feels complicated, it gets delayed. If it feels simple, it gets done. And if it feels pleasant, it gets shared. That last part is important because sharing is now part of product success. People don't just consume experiences, they circulate them. They take photos, they post impressions, they include them in routines that are partially private and partially performative. A visually appealing product naturally enters that cycle more easily, and this bundle, with its colors and presentation, fits that environment effortlessly. Which brings us back to the sellout. It isn't just about demand in isolation, it's about how demand forms in a connected environment where attention, aesthetics, and identity overlap.
When all three align, momentum builds quickly, and once momentum starts, it doesn't need much reinforcement. It carries itself. That's what we saw here. A collaboration that didn't need excess explanation, a product that didn't rely on complexity, a launch that simply met its moment and moved through it cleanly. And now it sits in that space where successful releases often land, completed, appreciated, and remembered as a moment where everything aligned just right. No drama required, no overanalysis needed, just a simple, well-executed collaboration that resonated with people and moved accordingly. And in a landscape that often rewards loudness, there's something quietly impressive about success that arrives without needing to shout for attention. It simply appears, connects, and moves on its own terms. And that, more than anything, is what makes this strawberry matcha set moment worth acknowledging.
There's also something quietly interesting about how this kind of collaboration reshapes the idea of everyday luxury. It doesn't try to separate itself from normal life or place itself in some unreachable category of exclusivity. Instead, it slips into the small spaces people already have: a morning routine, a quick break, a moment between tasks. That's where it works best, not as something distant or rare, but as something that upgrades what already exists without demanding a full lifestyle overhaul. It's luxury that doesn't ask for permission or preparation, just presence. What makes that even more effective is the way simplicity becomes the actual design language. Nothing about the bundle feels overloaded or trying too hard to impress. The appeal comes from restraint, from knowing exactly what to include and what to leave out. That kind of clarity is surprisingly rare, and when people encounter it, even subconsciously, it registers as ease. And ease is one of the most underrated forms of value in modern life. If something feels easy to understand, easy to use, and easy to enjoy, it naturally becomes more desirable without needing extra persuasion layered on top. And then there's the quiet after effect of a release like this, the sense that a small shared moment just passed through the internet. Not loud enough to dominate everything, but strong enough to be noticed and remembered. A brief alignment between design, timing, and audience that creates its own soft echo. Long after the bundle is gone, what lingers isn't just the product itself, but the feeling it carried. Something light, intentional, and cohesive that reminded people how simple enjoyment can still feel thoughtfully made.
Not because it tried to be the biggest thing happening, but because it became something people genuinely wanted to be part of, even briefly. And sometimes, that is the most honest kind of success there is. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Smiley here. Have a blessed evening.